We are now live. I'd like to welcome you all to the Human Relations Commission meeting for Asheville on May 18th, 2023. This is an in-person meeting, and we're coming to you live from the Cherokee homelands, where the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians remain a sovereign nation to this day. We will now call our meeting to order. My name is Elena. I am the staff liaison for the Human Relations Commission. Our chair is running late and our vice chair is not present tonight, so I'm opening the meeting. The duties of the Human Relations Commission of Asheville include, but are not limited to, make policy recommendations to the City Council which promote and improve human relations and advance equity in the city, support the city's Office of Equity and Inclusion, provide a forum where residents can raise issues and complaints relating to human relations in the city, engage the community regarding utilization of city-funded programs and policies for the promotion of human relations, and promote and improve human relations and advance equity in the following areas: public safety, educational, art and cultural opportunities, economic development, health and human services, and housing. All committee members and staff are attending in person. We are also streaming live on our Virtual Engagement Hub, which is accessible through the Virtual Engagement Hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the committee page. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone by dialing 855-925-2801 and entering meeting code 9723. For those of you who plan to speak during our live public comment today, you will need to be present at the meeting to speak. And for all of you out there listening, welcome. I'll now roll call. Daniel Young.
Yes.
Harvey Harold.
Here.
Crystal Michelle Reed.
Present.
Inwena Smith.
Present.
Amma Atkins.
Present.
And we have 5 present right now, so we do not have quorum. We also have our City Council liaison, Kim Roney. And city staff members are present tonight: Elena Schmidt, myself, and Brad Branham, our city attorney. To give us a shared understanding of group norms and to ensure everyone participating feels heard and valued in the meeting, we will review the group agreements, which were created based on the boards and commissions ethics policy. Be civil and courteous, be respectful of differing opinions, be present, no personal attacks, practice WAIT, which stands for why am I talking or why aren't I talking, pursue the common good, respect and honor the majority decision, be fair and impartial with votes and discussion, and adhere to the ethics policy. And we just had Dolores Venable join us, so we have 6, which is a quorum now. To help our audience follow along, I'll state each section of the agenda aloud until our chair gets here or a temporary chair is voted on. We will just do the informational items first. I'll ask committee members to raise your hand and be recognized to speak. Please state your name each time you comment. And just a reminder that the public is listening on the phone, and this keeps them up to date on the order of the meeting and who is commenting or speaking. We do have quorum, so I will give a staff update, and then we can, you can vote if you would like to have a temporary chair conduct business until your chair arrives. So the staff update is on the Crown Act recommendation that the HRCA recommended at the previous meeting in March. The update is that it is going to the Equity and Engagement Committee on June 20th. And you can also watch that meeting streamed live virtually and call in for public comments if desired. All right. You can vote on a temporary chair. Are there any nominations?
I'm Harvey Harrell. I move to nominate Alma Atkins, Commissioner Alma Atkins.
All right. All those in favor of Alma conducting the meeting until Tanya Rodriguez arrives?
How do you feel about that? Oh, well, now, honestly, I wasn't expecting to have to conduct any kind of meeting today. So, thank you for asking me. I'll be honest with you, I really don't know what to say, because like I said, I was gonna follow the agenda as it was.
I apologize, Ms. Atkins. I totally forgot that part. Would you like to accept or decline your nomination to conduct the meeting?
Well, I mean, hey, then y'all just have to be down with however I conduct it. Exactly. However I conduct it, then you're gonna have to be. Okay, we go forward.
All right. By a show of hands in favor. And any against? Any abstaining? All right.
Can I abstain from that vote, please? That means a yes, I know it means a yes, but I'm gonna tell you why, because I don't think everybody knows.
Yeah, you cannot vote, under North Carolina law, you must vote unless there's a conflict of interest. If you choose not to vote, you technically vote as a yes.
If if Chairperson Rodriguez is not here with a specific amount of time, and this is not saying.
No,
anything
go
about
ahead
you,
on,
I
go
want you
ahead
to
on,
know
say what you're getting ready to say.
what you're walking into. I just.
Is it against anything or anybody that we give her a couple of more minutes?
You can bring that up with the rest of the commission to see if they have an issue.
Yeah.
We do have a time frame on the meeting, so it might cut down the total time. And we can, if you'd like, to open up for public comment and just let that occur during this time, you can also do that. And see if we still need to wait.
Excuse me?
But that's up to everybody else, you know. Can we go to public comment? Move on.
Let's do public comment. Let's let us go into public comment.
So if there are any here today who would like to speak, you have 3 minutes. And I would like to offer a reminder that if you speak now, that you will not have a second opportunity to speak later in the meeting once our chair arrives.
My name is Tracy Mann. I used to live on Oakland Road, and I would like to speak about policing in Asheville. Unfortunately, what happened with the assault on Mr. Whitmire that happened on Walton is not unique. This isn't the first time this has happened in Asheville. This is not the first time this has happened across this nation. Speaking locally, only 6% of Buncombe County is Black, and then 33% of persons incarcerated are Black. This is obviously racial discrimination in policing. Like I said earlier, I used to live on Oakland Road. I used to do social work for Buncombe County Social Services. I'm aware of how some communities are policed, especially those that are low income. I watched it with my own eyes for years as a member of the Oakland Road community that's nearby Walton. In this last incident, no de-escalation tactics were used. The community deserves answers as to why there was no de-escalation by Asheville Police Department officers. Safety was clearly not guaranteed by the police that day. What happened was an assault. An independent investigation under public oversight should be conducted. Those officers need to be held responsible for what they did. Body camera footage needs to be released. The chief needs to communicate with the community that was harmed, not just Mr. Whitmire, but also the persons in that community. The chief needs to communicate with the persons from the community that are asking to speak with him. He needs to be responsible and accountable to people regarding this incident. The officers who employed lethal holds should not be in the streets at this time. Those folks should absolutely have their names released to the public. They also need to be held accountable publicly. Only community intervention prevented another police murder. They used illegal holds on this person's neck, and community intervention prevented further harm against Mr. Whitmire. Violence in our Black neighborhoods must stop. These officers need to be held accountable. We all deserve to be safe. We all deserve to live happily. We all deserve better than what happened to Mr. Whitmire. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments at this time?
May I ask a question? Can we ask any public comment questions? Not direct any comments, but ask questions.
You mean ask questions to the people making comments? Commissioner
Maybe
Venable?
I can ask you a question because you are the city attorney.
You can.
So that's a great way to say it. So, a lot of folks know about this case, and I don't see any of his family here right now, and I do understand why. So I want to ask you, as a city attorney, number one, has this situation gone for as the DA also put into liaison for outside investigative units to look at the video cam footage as well, because we all know, I don't know if folks do know, so full disclosure, there is also a live feed that goes along with that. And there was a news article today that came out on WS that asked, it says the family are asking that this situation be dealt with basically by the DA's office and whatever other entity. Could you read anything else into that?
Yes, ma'am. Two things to note on this particular situation. First, the event that occurred Sunday, and that's what we're all talking about here, the body cam footage that was collected during that event by the officers on the scene has already been provided to the district attorney's office, along with any other evidence that was collected there. The district attorney's office, along with other members of his particular office, have reviewed all of that evidence, and they made the determination at some point, either today or prior to today, that they have found no probable cause to charge any officer or to bring in the State Bureau of Investigation for additional insight or review. I can tell you that my office has drafted for filing tomorrow morning a request for the court to issue an order to release the body cam footage publicly. So I'm going to be filing that tomorrow morning so that we can add to the necessary transparency for the community to see what happened from all angles.
Has the FBI been notified of this situation?
That normally comes from the district attorney's office. They make a determination if they believe it's necessary to contact the SBI, so I can't say if they've done that. At this point, I can't say for certain. What I know is that they have informed us that they felt confident that there was no need to bring in the SBI, but I don't know if they spoke directly to them.
One last question. When things are a mental health issue, is there also another issue, especially when you have a preemptive issue that might have, most folks don't know, something just happened and they don't know what was the cause or reason? Is that also another reason why some issues might be kept out of all necessary and proactive situations?
That's a relevant concern. And I think that the district attorneys are charged with taking those details into consideration anytime they make their decisions. I cannot say, because we don't get involved in the district attorney's affairs about how they make their decisions. We don't want to influence that. So I only know the result of the district attorney's office review. I don't know exactly how they came to their conclusions. So I'm limited in what I can say on that. But the city felt that it was extremely important that we act as quickly as possible to get the body cam footage released on this.
Question, were the 911 calls preceding that event?
So the 911 calls can be. I don't know that anyone has acted to do that yet, but that could happen. It is possible.
If it is a situation that led to their death?
It could be. It could be. And
Exactly, I'm sorry.
no. So the county actually runs sort of a joint 911 service between the city and the county, but it's actually run by the county, so the records are maintained by Buncombe County for 911 now.
I got a question too.
Yes, Mr. Young.
What about the, him being his doctor records? Was he able to get any kind of doctor's care while after this incident? Was there any blood work done to see was he on any drugs? Anything that could shift the reason why he was acting out? And why wasn't there nobody there? When the police had come to get me or whatever, they already have a jacket. What problem I got going on in my past, and with his situation, from my understanding, he did have some mental stuff going on. Why wasn't there no mental health people there with the police instead of the police just going in there gun holy to assassinate another black individual?
The only thing I can speak to on your first point is that once APD officers deliver someone to the detention facility, they are then placed in the care of Buncombe County. So we don't know, I can't say exactly what sort of treatment he might have or testing he might have undergone after that point. But generally speaking, the city usually transfers the oversight of the individual to Buncombe County at that point, and that's where those sorts of things are handled. So I'd have to direct those questions to Buncombe County. As to what officers might have had with them, I'm limited about the facts that I know. I have been reviewing this case today, and it is my understanding that the individual that was taken into custody was actually not the reason that the first responding officer was there. They were actually making a traffic stop and saw this particular individual because they had been briefed very recently on a warrant that had been issued for his arrest. So at that point, additional officers were called in immediately for backup. Usually those people are already in the field, and they're the closest ones, so they come. They may not have had any additional time to gain any additional materials or safeguards, so it's usually just whoever's closest by. But they weren't en route directly for this particular person. They were there for a traffic stop and happened to see him. Yes, ma'am.
One last question. So, as you say, city has requested this body cam footage be released tomorrow, correct?
We're filing the motion tomorrow, yeah.
Honored the request.
There's a new law in North Carolina that makes it a little bit more complicated to get body camera footage, but we are starting the process tomorrow. We are ready to release the body cam footage, but we have to have a court, the Buncombe County Superior Court must sign an order. We have to get a judge to sign an order to let us do that before we're allowed to. So we are filing that tomorrow, and as soon as the judge signs that, we'll release the body cam footage.
Basically, what preempted this case was basically a live video that kind of circulated on social media to learn. And so is that where the media construct came from? Because I'm trying to figure out, because on WLOS, I'm not sure if everybody saw it, but I'm pretty sure you've been briefed about this. Where the family had said they did not want this body cam footage being shown.
I have seen that, and because this is one good aspect about the process that's in place now, is that anybody has the right to come and object. So this is actually a hearing that's going to occur in front of a Superior Court judge, and anybody has the ability to object and offer the reasons why a judge would not want this to be made public. the city feels that it's important, given the fact that a large portion of the filming of this has already been released to the public. Exactly. So we feel as if much of this information is already out there, and anytime that is the case, the city wants to ensure that we are not doing anything to limit the transparency of the community, so they can see exactly what was seen and done and heard by police officers and give the public a full picture of what occurred.
How much of a time frame would it take from point A to getting back?
It's always hard to say with the judge's office. They run on their own schedule. But we expect that this won't take a long, long time. I would imagine days, perhaps maybe a week or so to get this done. But it probably will not happen tomorrow, probably not. Obviously, we have the weekend after that. But our goal is to get it done as quickly as possible, if the court finds it appropriate to release it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
I don't mean to sound ignorant or whatever. My name is Harvey Dean Harrell. I've been involved in a lot of things with the city, but this is the first time hearing this. I couldn't hardly hear what she was saying. I heard Mr. Whitmire, no de-escalation, officers need to be accountable, chief needs to speak to the community, holes on his neck, black neighborhood, need to release officers' footage by the camera. I want to know what happened, please. I have no idea what happened.
Well, what I could say without trying to influence the public's reaction to all of this, what I would say is that we are aware that APD was in the area for a traffic stop. They had been briefed because a warrant had been taken out against this particular individual for communicating threats. Threats of violence, including perhaps bodily harm resulting in death. And we have we've seen some text messages and some social media posts that are essentially along the lines of communicating those threats to family members. Our officers were briefed that a warrant had been issued by a family member to take this guy into custody. So when they were on a traffic stop, they happened to see him. They approached the individual. They asked his name. He actually gave an incorrect name. He gave the name of his twin brother. But APD was able to verify. They had pictures of him, and they had differing tattoos. They let him know that they knew that he was actually not his twin brother and that they were going to take him into custody. At that point, what I think is going to be clear from body camera footage, there was a conversation about a potential weapon. And I think that that is what potentially led to what you see as the use of force by multiple officers.
Did they physically hurt him real bad, kill him or whatever?
I cannot and would not want to speak to his condition. I have not heard any examination results. APD has not, it generally does not do any kind of physical examination. That usually occurs after the fact unless there's an immediate need. But it would be outside of my knowledge to tell you if he had any injuries. I know he's still in custody as we speak today. So that means he has not been transferred to any medical facility. Limited care can be provided at the Buncombe County Detention Facility where he is still located.
Okay. That happened Sunday afternoon?
That happened Sunday. And as of today, early this afternoon, we checked and he was still in custody.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are they 51 holes in Buncombe County Jail?
I'm not 100% sure about that. I always hate to answer if I don't know. But I might have to defer to Buncombe County to answer that question.
I don't know if y'all know what 51 holes is, but it's a mental health. To where you're in custody, but you're also under care of a mental health provider, 15-minute checks, and you're also giving nurses and medical care around the clock.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yes, sir.
So since this is gonna be this ain't the first or last time this has happened from the APD. Right now, this is from the footage, another black man been treating it like a dog. And as a taxpayer, why are we still paying these police and giving them the okay of this? And like we got our mayor and city officials, nobody's coming off their seats to justify this, to say anything, have any compassion for our community. Today, I was canvassing the community in Livingston, talking to the kids, and they traumatized by this. So if our mayor and our chief of police are okay with our kids being traumatized by these gang-related police officers, because every time you come to our community, you call, I'm in a gang because I stay in Hillcrest. What about the police? They're in gangs. You come in our community, treat us like slaves. Beat this poor guy down because of one. There's ways to de-escalate stuff like this. And by our city officials not speaking out about this, it makes us look bad as a community. And to have our kids crying and talking to us, they hate it in Livingston. They want to leave, but where they going to go? Where can you go when you're a mother with no job, with 4 kids struggling, her little baby walking around in Pampers? They want to leave a place there they feel unsafe, but a home supposed to be filled where you got love and protection. And we won't be loved and protected by the police officer, but I don't feel no love for no police when you are coming in with your guns out want to kill me, put me in holes because of my record. No individual, no person, what color you are, should be treated like a dog. This is the reason why we are here with the CWA, community health workers, is to make sure everybody is treated like a human being. No matter what color you are, what gender you are, or whatever you got going on. This is what we want. We want it all the way across the board, for everybody to be treated fairly. And this guy wasn't treated fairly. Everything was wrong on every side, his side, the police side. We want this so it will not happen again. Luckily, the people was there to take cameras, the pictures of this, so the young man wouldn't die. And about 2 months ago, Chris Davidson was beat up by the Asheville police as well. We got Mr. Rush in Lee Walker Heights was beat up. That's 3 black men continue to get beat down by the police, and nothing is being done.
May I ask a point of clarity to Councilman Young? So you had first-hand account of this?
Huh?
You were there?
Yes.
Okay, so since that incident, anybody talked to his family?
Yes, we have. We have talked to
his grandmother, his mother?
We had talked to his girlfriend. She has been up here for the last 2 days with us doing the protest.
Well, I would just like to say, I appreciate the comments, Mr. Young, and I can tell you that on behalf of the city council, today, I received multiple requests to get more information about this so that they can learn more about what has occurred. And it was one of the reasons that my office was looking into all the details about this. And I have just this afternoon sent City Council more information about what we have found and let them know that it is our plan to seek release of that body cam footage, because I believe wholeheartedly that to a person, every member of our City Council shares many of the sentiments that you've expressed, and that it is our goal that we reach a point where everybody in this community feels safe and protected within their own life, and that it is the duty of every member of city staff, especially including our law enforcement officers, to make the people who live, work, and play here feel safe and protected. So I appreciate fully your comments, and rest assured that we will keep our city council, your elected leaders, fully informed about what happened. And we do believe that if the court finds it appropriate, that it is the right thing to do to release the body cam footage that we have as soon as possible, so that the public has full transparency around what occurred.
Well, I would like to say that please keep this commission in the loop, because this deals specifically with equity and how individuals, especially African Americans, are treated when it comes to interacting with police. And I don't want to see this commission not be on the forefront if it's brought to our table to have to address the equity of how the police or any other city of office approaches equity.
I'll be more than happy to do that, Commissioner Atkins, and I want you to know that we also, as a staff, share the opinion that this board is important for this and many other reasons, and we absolutely will keep this board informed about this particular issue.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions?
I know most of you know my background, also being somebody who's been, and one of the reasons. I don't want people to jump to conclusions and hurt a situation either that does not fully, because I think sometimes we see things that are, or we hear it, like Commissioner Young said he was there, but, and Brad also said it, we're requesting, you know, that, and I think sometimes, and we're dealing, and one of the things that we talk about within Black communities is some of the disparities. And so when you're dealing with something, some things are very disparative, but it's not indicative. The disparity itself is not indicative on a situation, and I think that's why. And I really do wish that, there were some folks here from different aspects of this conversation who can speak on behalf of this young man himself. Because right now, what I'm hearing is a lot of things, and don't get me twisted, I don't think that anything's a lie. I don't think that anything's been misspoken, but I also think that some things have been not addressed in the right way. And I think some people are taking certain aspects, because I know certain people in this situation. And it's kind of like nobody wants people jumping before them before they have a chance to say something to somebody. And that can cause more harm than good too. When you don't know somebody, you know, jumping, talking about something, and you don't know exactly what the whole work from the beginning to end. So I do say that this board does need to be indicative in that. But I also say that this is a situation where you have to look at every facet that ties into what happened here, and we don't know all of that. And we have nobody here right now talking to us outside Commissioner Young, who had a first-hand account. And I don't know if anybody in the public was there that made a comment, but outside of Commissioner Young, no one else was there. And so what I would like to say is that, you know, don't think that, believe everything you hear, but also make sure you take the time to give everybody a chance to say, especially the people who are affected by whatever specific incident, because due to the rule of law, everybody has a chance to say what happened. And we all don't know a lot of details about this situation, because the situation came from, was pushed out into social media before there was any type of other type of situation. That's what makes it such a gray area, because right now, and I see why the city is very implicit upon making this body camera footage, even though from the news coverage I've heard that the family themselves, because what News 13 said was they did not want this body cam footage released. And for the city to push for that body cam footage to be released in that manner, you know, I just want everybody to just take a minute and just look at both sides. And I could say some more, but I'm not at this moment in time, because I can't disclose situations that have come to me in another outside that has nothing to do with this board.
And I agree. I hope I'm not cutting you off.
No.
But I agree with what you're saying, but one of the things I definitely heard from you is that there are several sides to this story, this incident. It was horrendous. It played out in social media, on TV, but there is still so many things that has to be ironed out before we get.
And that's not to say at the end of the day, no matter what happens, that there has not been any situations that have happened here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But what it is to say is that you have to be very fair and impartial when dealing with certain things, because when you go to a trajectory that is 0 to 100, and then something happens down the line, and you find something else out that you didn't necessarily know. I mean, you don't ever know why things happen, and sometimes you don't ever know what precipitated it. And, you know, the more I hear about this situation, you know, it's kind of, it is a gray area, and I feel my heart goes out.
Well, do you
to
feel
this family.
comfortable, since we don't?
It is my family.
I got you. I feel fill the pub. But can we, for the interest of going forth tonight, I hear you, and we are going to allow the district attorney and those that will be in charge of this investigation. Please keep us, once again, I'll say, please keep the Human Relations Commission in the loop, because this does affect equity, and we just want to be prepared to address
And
any
once
issue.
that request is made by him, excuse me, I'm sorry, Brad, but once they make that request, guess what it is to all y'all? Public record. So all you have to do is go pull down
Pull
the
it up.
FOIA, and you can find out everything, and you can see the same thing that they are saying, but what you can't know is what's going on in the court case.
Okay.
So you'll see exactly what they're gonna show to the public, but until this case is handled, you will never know what precipitated it from A to B, and that's why I tell people, until this is over with in entirety, because there's been a lot of things that you don't know about until after it's said and done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, and just keep this family in your prayers,
Yeah.
keep this young man in your prayers, you know, and just watch out and make sure that everybody around you is good.
Yeah.
Because
Amen.
sometimes bad things happen to good people. It comes from seeing the trajectory, and everybody says it's not my business. So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Good points, good points, good discussion. I think we feel comfortable, you feel comfortable with your public comment? All right, the chair has come in, and I don't know, we was waiting for the chair to come in to see if there was gonna be, you were gonna give us a public comment, but do you still want to do that? Or wait till later? Do we ask that, or do I?
So we're still in the public comment section. While we waited for our chair to arrive, we moved to information only items on the agenda. So there was a staff update, and then we opened it up to public comment. And we are still accepting public comments if there is another that would like to speak. And am I correct in understanding there is not a second opportunity since we moved it up on the agenda? Okay.
Hey, my name is Michael Hayes. I won't be long. Thank you all for bringing up the situation that I'm here about. The situation is very difficult, and I can't speak on behalf of the family. I'm not here to speak on behalf of the family. I'm not here to speak on what transpired before the assault on Mr. Whitmire. I am here to speak about on the fact that we want to have an opportunity to meet with city officials to talk solutions. There were illegal holds moved. There was no de-escalation tactics moved. There was information that could have been utilized to approach this thing differently. Like I said, this is not to downplay or to take away from what had transpired before the event. We're here to talk about what we can do and why we want to have these meetings, because we feel like this has to be solution-based. We feel like that there are there are alternatives that we can use. We have community health workers. We have so many community members that can be utilized in situations like this, but there's also trainings that we feel like our officers need. There has to be some accountability for young officers coming into communities where they don't have any relationships, or they don't have any connections, to see if we can start building on that opportunity. This is not to, whatever happens with this case is gonna happen. The DA already closed the case. The investigation has already been closed. But we are trying to be a part of a collective and collaborative effort to come up with solutions so this won't happen again. And if that can happen sooner than later, that will be great, because what we don't want is to go into a summer where a community has been traumatized. Commissioner Young talked about the young people that he talked to that are still traumatized. There's still this overreaching sense of power when some officers come into our communities, and that can be a trauma stressor right there, just the way they come in. So, you know, there was a lot of escalation when we look at the video, but community escalation should be expected when there is no one there trying to de-escalate. So we feel like that should be a big part of police trainings. You know, we talked about the civility training, which is one of the trainings I went through, which is a great training. Hopefully that'll be back on the table. From my understanding, they're not looking at that training, but prayerfully that is going to, you know, hopefully we can like come together to make sure that training happens. I think it's important. I took the training, and it was good for us to be open with no biases being held, right? It was just us being honest. And I think it's going to be needed when we're looking at what just happened. Thank you all for listening.
One last question, I'm sorry, and this is a general question, I'm not directing any one of my commenters, but, and I'm not trying to be rude at all, but why is New thing here?
Why is who here?
New 13, no offense, but like, why are they here? I was wondering the same thing when I walked in. I was gonna say it, why are they here? Because in all of my 7 years of being here, they've only been at the inaugural HRCA, the first meeting that I was at. They were at Southside when we dealt with the situation that went on, and we don't need to get into that, because like I said, we're gonna keep our minds open. But today, I was not informed that we would have any meeting here. I think that's a privilege that we should know. So, hey, how y'all doing? But why y'all here? You feel free to answer either one of y'all. Brad, anybody, somebody? I know it's a public forum, but we always said give people the courtesy to know, because some of us don't feel good on camera. So please don't use any footage of me, period. Okay? But I can also tell you not to use my footage. You cannot use my person. Even though I'm in a public meeting, I was not notified, and we were not notified. And I feel very uncomfortable right now. So I can also feel uncomfortable enough to kind of leave the meeting. Brad, can you get up there and tell us what?
Yeah.
So could I answer the question? We didn't invite them. We didn't give them access.
Somebody told somebody something.
So-
We didn't tell them.
So who told somebody something? Because they not been here that last time.
When we get our emails, we get, notified of what's gonna happen at the meeting, but today I didn't know this when we walked in.
And we made a rule about that within our bylaws. Do not talk to the media about the city attorney knowing. So did y'all know about this stuff?
Oh, well, as I think has already been stated, and you all are obviously well aware, these meetings are public, so we do open it up to anyone, including the media. And generally speaking, the rules for public meetings allow the media to both attend and record so long as they don't interfere with the proceedings of the meeting. We won't speak to their individual legal rights, but they do have the same right to attend the meetings as anyone else. And yeah, I don't, generally speaking, staff is not made aware of those things, so we don't provide any advance notice unless we were made aware, but we usually don't know who's coming to meetings or when media will attend.
But do we have to sign some type, when I sign my son up for school or something, I have to sign a photo release form?
So in these cases, no, and I will say all of the meetings are already streamed online. So actually, we already have these online. So this is already a public feed, and the media has essentially the same right to record. We're not allowed to restrict in a public meeting anybody's ability to record either audio or video unless we went into a closed session, and we're only allowed to do those under certain circumstances. If we're talking about some legal things, we can. But it's very, very limited that we can go into those closed sessions.
To speak to the staff question, this is your liaison, Elena Schmidt. I was not made aware, which is why I did not make you aware. I did not know either.
Wow, this is a lot of exciting. It's a very exciting commission meeting. Thank you all for being here in all of your capacities and sharing such deep passions of the current events affecting and in the future. So we're moving on from staff updates, from public comment.
Oh, you can check and see if there are any more speakers.
Okay. Are there any further speakers? Okay. How's everybody doing? You all right? Everybody all right? Okay. Everybody all right over here? Not okay? I'm glad you're here. I'm glad all y'all are here. Thank you for showing up. Moving on to unfinished business. I'm Tanya, your commission chair. And,
Madam Chair, you also have minutes to approve.
oh, minutes to approve. All right. So has everybody read the minutes for the March 16th meeting? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the March 16th, 2023 minutes.
All in favor?
Well, I'll second it.
Oh,
Do
you
we have a
second?
second? Yes, second.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. The motion carries. Approval of the March 16th, 2023 meeting is approved. Moving on to unfinished business. Voting on the HRCA meeting format must have 2/3 supermajority vote to be virtual. This is a vote to bring our meeting from live to virtual, which would address media in the room. Surprise media in the room, not that, glad you're here, but, it's a shock and it's a little different, so thank you for understanding and your patience. Do we have any discussion on moving the meeting to virtual? There are a few things that came up in regards to accessibility, which created the need for this vote. Do we have quorum? Do you have quorum? So that's the good news. One of the needs for accessibility related to childcare and also transportation to the meeting. So is there any discussion surrounding moving the meeting to virtual versus in person?
May I say that I was slated to be in the same diagram that I was before, that I had before this. But after the day, you know what? I do understand that some people have anxiety and trauma about certain things. And you don't know everything in your face. And when you don't know about something, especially when it's dealing with something that deals with trauma, that affects communities, I feel some type of way right now. And that's why when you asked how you doing, I said not really, to be honest, because God, I don't like to be ambushed. And it's not saying that the media ambushed us, but what I'm saying is, little birds don't tell secrets until somebody goes and tweets them. So I don't know at what point in time somebody reached out to these entities to make this a really prevalent situation. But I also feel very traumatized by it. So before I was going to go no to having virtual meetings. But now, I do understand some people have PTSD, they have trauma, and you don't know how people are affected by certain situations or what their involvement in it is. And sometimes to have to sit back and say nothing about something is the hardest thing in the world. And I think when you don't have some certain entities that are more or less, I just don't like the situation that happened today. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Because I have not seen them go anywhere else. So I do feel kind of certain ways, and because I do certain, and I don't have to disclose that because it's outside of the scope, I don't feel good about this. Because I'm going to have to answer questions about this later on. And because I didn't know about something, I'm going to have to explain the fact that I didn't know. And now this is going back out, and I don't know how they're going to spin that either. So I feel some type of way. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't feel good. seen them walk in. And where are they going? I'm thinking, let's see, all kinds of things going on. And then they had these people follow you around, try to get media, because when I walked out, they wanted to hear. That's what they do. Of course you're gonna see some things. I don't, and they're gonna see this too. So they're gonna respond anyway.
So you want,
I did not look, so today changed my mind about some things. Because sometimes you can only be safe where you live. And once something makes me feel like it's not a safe place to where, when something's going on, you don't tell people, well, hey, look, I'm about to bring such and such. And we're gonna talk about sex, even though it's public comment, somebody reciprocated it. And you should talk to, be up, and when I leave this board, if y'all will do nothing else, be honest with each other. Just be honest. Don't go and do stuff, and then somebody got fired and back in and make people feel some type of way, because it's not a good feeling walking around. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, and I'm done.
so would you like to make that motion?
I will make the motion.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
pardon me.
I'm sorry, I just need to ask a question for clarity, because this is another item that will come up in new business. As we have members rolling off, we're having to make a decision with the members that are present today about virtual meeting, moving forward, if we want to go virtually or remain in person. Does everyone feel comfortable making this decision, and we have several members rolling off after this meeting, as we are now meeting bi-monthly? If I could just ask that for clarity from everyone.
Does the day last meeting for a chair, vice chair, myself? Wow, this is a bad way to go out.
And Mr.
Yeah, I feel so
Oliver.
bad. I mean, I just hate this. I do, I mean,
You know, what we put into action, right, is setting a precedent, right? And so when we set the precedent, then that precedent allows for people to join in and join into the culture that we created for the commission. And so right now, the culture of the commission is to meet in person, to have discussion, and to do the meetings. We recognize that that culture is no longer a safe culture to be in. So now, by shifting the culture, what we can do is create a safe environment for anybody that wants to join, and open it up accessibility-wise to people that may not be able to join the commission because of issues within accessibility. So it's not closing the meeting down. It's opening the meeting up, and it's setting a precedent for a new culture. We're cycling out, you're starting anew. So you're creating this environment where people can really explore the newness of the commission in a different way. So, you know, I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Reed, and I get it. I understand what you're talking about. I feel that I see that this is an opportunity to really bring in some new energy into the commission in a way that provides full accessibility and the opportunity to create a new culture within the commission. We set it up for y'all. Now you take it online.
Madam Chair,
And continue to show up.
I'd like to also offer that if the commission prefers, you can also move this vote to the next meeting and allow the new members who would be in the next meeting to vote their preference.
My only problem with that is that it just prolongs the conversation a little bit longer. And whereas I've heard everything and I understand everything, the people sitting around here and those that are gonna be rolling off are very much aware of the meeting space, the meeting needs, and as was stated by the current chair, set precedent. Go ahead and set it in stone as this is how we're going to meet, and then whomever comes onto this commission will follow suit with what we have agreed upon.
I think initially before today, I was wanting virtual. But after having this incident happen today, I think that we need to be present. You know, us being here today gave some community members a chance to speak up. And I don't know if I would have learned about this incident before this meeting if I was at home. I purposely do not turn on the news. I used to work for an incident partner violence agency, and I was always scared to see one of my clients on the news. I'm too emotional. And just seeing what happened to this brother is messing me up. Not a total boy. This is ridiculous that this is happening. So we need to be present for our community. I don't want to be here.
Well, then maybe the best thing to do is to hold off. Hold off on the vote. But listen, hear me out. To hold off on the vote, to let this energy that was experienced here in this room calm down, and then let that be the vote for the new commission to decide upon, where everybody is here and present, just to push it one more meeting, so that we can have that balance. What you're saying, Commissioner Smith, is really important, and it goes on what your argument too, Commissioner Venable, was in the beginning. And so I think this disruption, of having the news in here, it was a lot to take. So maybe, I know you want to vote, Commissioner Atkins, she's like, I want something to get done, I want to do it now, let's get it done. I hear you, I understand that. With relation to the intensity of this surprise from the media, it might be a good idea to just push it to the next meeting and see how everybody is with the new members and have that be their new vote, the first thing that they do.
May I also say something to add on to that? If we take this position at this time, and we do have several members to where if they were here, they would be able to make quorum. Voting on new, because, I feel like I want this board to pick for themselves who they want, because I have no outside vote after today, and I've done my vote, I've done my time. And don't ever get me wrong, this has been one of the most monumental experiences of my life. And I'm going to segue to something else in just a second that I asked our liaison and attorney. But also I do understand that I don't want to have an impact here after the fact. I know I'm going to have an impact because I've been here for so long in the beginning, but I don't want to influence the leadership of this board if I'm not going to be here to be able to, I don't just want to vote for something and then walk away and not have an impact. So I feel like if we're going to have that situation, maybe we should hold off voting on a chair and a vice chair if it's possible until they leave. Because I don't want to influence this board in that aspect. I want, if it's new blood, let it be new. And God bless all y'all, because you need it. And this is a lot of work, and it's traumatizing. Like, I really had to just take myself aback, because when I came into this beginning, and that's what I would want to ask too, before I even get into that. I'm not even going to get into it, because you know what, now is the time. Well, boards and commissions give exit interviews to people who are on boards and commissions, as far as, especially during the season that they've been talking about, doing other things and seeing how the makeup of the board, are they going to give exit interviews to people who are presently on those boards to see what it was like to be on those boards? What situations did you go to? What was the gist of it?
That's a great question. I will double check with our city clerk's office to make sure, but I think that they would be open to hearing your feedback.
Because my opinion to the city staff and, the city manager's office, as well as the city itself, is that when people sit on these boards and commissions, it's kind of like leaving a job. You always want to know why someone is leaving, whether they resign, whether they retire. What was your experience? What was that like? What did you go through while you were there? How did it feel? What were y'all able to get done? What was the hang-ups? What were the pluses, the minuses? And I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. And it's because either A, you have no one to talk to it about, and then B, who's gonna do something about it if there's no such thing. So I don't think people know what the experiences are of some people who've been on these boards and commissions. And over the years, we've had some people who've been very lengthy on boards and commissions. Not to say that that was a problem, but at the same time, you can only imagine what transpired during those times. So I think it would be helpful to boards and commissions to be able to have an entity in there where people ask, hey, we're so glad that you served this amount of time, and what was your experience while you were there? How can we fix it? What can go better?
I'll definitely check with our city clerk's office, and I'll follow up with you, Commissioner Venable.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Everybody, mostly everybody, Daniel hasn't given his opinion about whether we should wait, or whether we should go ahead and vote tonight, but what I was wanting to say is, because of, I don't know, I just feels the air is not right in here, all the ambiguities, the heated discussions, the indifferences existing. I think we should wait on, our next meeting, that we should, bring that to a vote, to the table, as far as virtual or in person.
All right.
I'm okay whichever way.
So do we vote to vote?
And I
Do we
couldn't,
do motion
Tanya,
to hold the vote off?
she's
Yeah.
back.
Um,
She's back.
You could make a motion to table to the next meeting.
All right. So, motion to table, vote on HRCA meeting format to be virtual. Can we get a motion on that?
I motion.
Motion. Second?
I second.
All in favor? So moved. Unfinished business carries to the next meeting. New business, moving on to new business, we've got farewell and gratitude for Tanya Rodriguez, Dolores Venable, and Brandon Oliver.
Good job. Good job. Pat it on the back.
Dolores, would you like to lead?
This has been a very life-altering and changing experience for me personally, especially as a resident of the city of Asheville. Because I used to say nobody would put me on board for commission. I never thought they would put me on a new board that had never even been tried out from day one. Like I said, I remember the first day I walked into the HRCA down at the Grant Center when we had our first meeting. Kimberly Archer was our liaison at that time. She was the equity officer. And it was so full of excitement. I remember, and it's in the news cameras. Did you see it? Because y'all gonna ride some waves, okay? Everything will be, you know, the best is not gonna be cotton candy sweet as gold, okay? Sometimes you're gonna have to ask some hard questions. Sometimes you're gonna have to ask yourself a question is what I'm doing in the best behalf of not just the community that I serve, but as a city and a county as a whole. people don't ever understand, you know, we're not just dealing with people who live within our city, we're dealing with people who live within our county. We have people who live in the county who are on my board. So you're dealing with every type of person, no matter race, creed, sexuality, religion. And sometimes you have to come outside yourself, and that's a hard thing to do. And sometimes you gotta admit when you're wrong. Sometimes you have to backtrack and say, hey, shoot, that whatever I thought then, I might not think right now. And you will learn a lot if you learn, if you let yourself learn. Never be afraid to ask that gentleman right there a question. Because that's what the taxpayers pay him to do. He is the legal entity for the city of Asheville. Never be afraid to ask questions to anybody that is a civil servant of our community. And you should think of yourselves as civil servants that not elected, not paid, but you had a city council trusting you enough that they thought that you had the ability and a way to be able to change the scope of the lives of people that you don't even meet every day. So always think about the people that you don't talk to, that you don't see, that you might not walk across the street to every day. Because those are your people too. Never think about a people as one entity. Think about it as a humanitarian effort. Never give up. Don't walk away. Fight the tough fight. Sometimes you might cry a little bit. You might get mad at each other, but at the end of the day, work it out. Put your ego aside and work it all out. Because it will work out. Just sit back. Trust the process sometimes. And if the process doesn't work, you know what to do. And thank you for having me. I thank, Kim, could you please tell the city of Asheville, thank you so much, the city council, thank you so much for entrusting me with this response, because this is a great response. And thank you so much over the years for giving me this experience and trusting me with this responsibility. And I wish you all the best of luck in whatever endeavors that you have.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Venable. Commissioner Rodriguez.
Thank you. Commissioner Harold, it has been one of the greatest honors of my life to serve in this capacity, and with all of you, with all of the former commissioners that have been on this board and rolled off this board and have gotten mad and have moved away and have stayed and just couldn't hang. Because we do go over some pretty heavy-duty issues in here. I'm grateful that we've gotten recommendations to the table, recommendations to City Council, that Kim is, Councilwoman Kim has brought to City Council with a fuerza of support. And it's been an honor to get to know all of you and to walk with you and to hear all of your stories and to share in this space virtually all through COVID. And Dolores before COVID. And all of the things that we hear and hear to affect policy and government and representation on this commission. It's an honor to work with you, Brad. Getting all my emails and your patience, your infinite well of patience is something that I can only wish to achieve once in my life. Once. Elena, it's been great working with you. You've just been an absolute dream, and I wish you the best in all of your endeavors and your PhD. Brenda. Your wisdom has carried me through so much, and I am ever grateful for the conversations that we have, and I hope will continue having, because I think you're amazing and one of the most greatest mentors I've ever known. So thank you. And thank you to the city of Asheville for trusting in me and all of us, for showing up for you and hearing your requests for change, your demands for change, and offering us the opportunity to enact that change within the system, walking the lines of establishment and non-establishment in powerful ways. Thank you very much, all of you, and blessings to the future of the HRCA.
Thank y'all. Moving forward, while we're still in this avenue,
Can we
and
just say to Brandon Alden, he's not here tonight, but
Yeah, I was just
thank
gonna,
you so much to Commissioner Alden. I didn't mean to cut you off, Mr. Harvey, but thank you for his time, thank you for his service. And I hope that whatever his endeavors are next, that is the best thing that can possibly happen. You know, you always just wish people the best. And I forgot, Mr. Brandon, thank you, because you know me since whenever, so thank you so much for just being here and being present too. And, you know, y'all do the work, I'm not, I just want to make sure that we, because he's not here to speak for himself, so we have to do Academy Awards, so we got somebody. So we just want to say on behalf of him, thank you so much. And I know he's very fortunate to have been on this, in this position and to serve with all y'all, so, yeah, you know, going out on my up note.
you took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to go there, I was just giving a moment of silence in between. Everybody jumped in. So, Commissioner Oliver has been an absolute joy to walk with as vice chair, and I know that he will bring his wonderful self to whatever space that he is in. So it's been an honor to walk with him as chair and vice chair, and be a part of such a strong team. So moving on to nominating and voting to new chair and vice chair. There was a mention earlier about pushing that vote to next meeting for the new commission. And so.
For meeting format or for chair?
For chair and vice chair.
For chair and vice chair, you'll need officers to conduct the meeting, so that's an important action to take in this meeting.
Okay, so they have to be voted in today.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All right. Leaving a legacy, leaving a legacy. We leave it better than we found it, right?
Just
So-
just for, I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut you off, just for clarity. A non-vote is a yes, not saying I disagree, but I don't want to have, so a non-vote is a yes, correct?
Correct. If you abstain, it's a yes.
Okay, so I don't want anybody to think I'm feeling some type of way, but I want y'all to make your own decisions, so that's that. Unless something comes up with it.
All right, can we get a nomination for, let's start with vice chair. Nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Harvey Harold for vice chair.
Are there any further nominations?
I nominate Daniel Young for vice chair.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Ms. Atkins for vice chair.
We nominate everybody for vice chair. All right, so we have 3 candidates for vice chair. Vice chair, all in favor of vice chair, Commissioner Harrell? All in favor of vice chair, Commissioner Young? All in favor of Vice Chair Commissioner Atkins?
I need to back it up something because we just said if I don't raise my hand or something, then that's considered a yes vote. Does that happen in that right there?
No.
Thank you. I just want clarity.
It is normal to be confused. This is one of the most complicated things to vote on, and everybody struggles with it. So you're perfect. You're already doing better than most. The way this works, and it's a little different than other votes, is you started out perfectly, which is we open up for nominations, then you finish the nominations. 3 people were nominated. In order to get elected, you still have to have someone receive a majority vote. Now, you have 7 people, so somebody needs to receive 4 votes. You're only allowed to vote for 1 person, okay? And if we don't have, on the first go-through, somebody get 4 votes, whoever got the least amount of votes will no longer be in the running the second time. And if we have an endless tie, then you're going to have to debate amongst yourselves about how to break that tie and figure out who to vote for. So you have 3 votes, and a member will just as Chair Rodriguez has done, you will vote for just 1 person each time, and then we'll see until someone gets 4. We have to just keep that process going until somebody gets 4 votes.
Jim has.
I wonder,
Thank you.
did we at some point have a co-chair situation here at this body? Never had a co-chair? So I wonder if it would help folks to know what the role of the chair and vice chair is, because if they're signing up for extra work, my understanding is for this group that the chair spends some time with staff to outline the agenda, so there's an extra amount of meeting, and then if that person can't be there, the vice chair is there to support. But that doesn't mean that you can't do things in a different way. If the vice chair, for example, I've been on the transit committee, and 2 people would go from the transit committee to meet with the staff and work on the agenda. So just because there's a way that things are done doesn't mean it has to be the way things are done. But since you have recently been the chair, it might help to hear how much time you put into the role. That's just an idea. Was that?
Couldn't understand the words she said.
Thank you, that's a good point. So, as chair and vice chair, we are present for hour-long meetings and creating the agenda. Sometimes they go 20 minutes, sometimes they can go an hour, and that's once a month. Also, as chair and vice chair is typically the people that field a lot of the stuff that comes in for the commission. The amount of work that's involved in chair and vice chair lives in the reality of learning procedure of how commissions work. So that's quite a learning curve for anybody that has not done that before. There's a lot involved in that learning curve. And if you have not done the research, it's something that is important to do. And that level of research can take months. So, of constant, yeah, well, it's obviously years of, to show up and to continue show up. As you know, I'm continually learning as chair. I defer to Brad and Elena often, and it's because even in the 4 years that I've served with this commission, I'm continually learning something new. And so having the openness and willingness to put in the time, the effort to learn Robert's rules, to learn how the city works, to listen to council meetings, to listen to different kinds of meetings. I remember when we first started, there was no script. There was no script in this commission. It was fly by the seat of your pants. And then when Brenda came on, she's like, y'all need a script. And we got a script. And so that helps a lot. But it does take time to get used to the government mindset. And also, as a chair, it's the responsibility of the chair to facilitate discussion and not have opinion. So as chair, you're not pushing your opinions forward, you're facilitating the discussion so the discussion doesn't devolve into an unhealthy or harmful place. So that's also a part of being chair. Vice chair backs chair up.
I used to be the vice chair, so it's a lot.
Yeah, vice chair backs chair up. So once again, vice chair can present issues, but it's also important to back the chair up if the meeting starts to get out of control.
You also need to be present, or if something goes on with the chair, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
You need to be able to also be able to chair the meeting itself. You also need to have a full virtue and understanding of Robert's Rules of Order. And you also have to be able to be liaison between the chair and sometimes the board. Because you're the second person that's a liaison outside of city staff that is on your board. So, and it is a huge responsibility. It's not as much as the chair's responsibility, but sometimes you're going to be called to do it, you might not even know when.
And I think one of the most important, thank you for that input. I think one of the most important things about the chair seat is that it is not a position of authority, it's a position of service. And so when sitting in chair, in the seat of the chair and the seat of vice chair, it's to be present for the commission as a neutral seat in the commission. So many times I was like, I just want to be a commissioner again so I can be out here barking. You know, but as chair, I'm not offered that. And so I had to refrain from my personal thoughts about any subjects that were coming in, sitting in this seat. So that's also something that's important to recognize, is that if you're used to expressing your thoughts and how you feel and what you think about certain things, sitting in this chair seat will mute you.
And also learn how to deal with the media, because they're going to come at you. If you're the chair or vice chair, the media is not going to call up Brad, they're not going to call up Brenda. Guess what they're going to call up?
Right, because it's not our responsibility as chair or vice chair to have an opinion. It's our responsibility to facilitate the conversation and to keep the meeting going.
And you also have to know how to, and that's the thing that goes into that, you have to know how to talk to the media, so if you ever get a call from, refer all them phone calls to this gentleman, this lady, this lady.
Yep.
Because that's what they do, don't answer any question, because once you answer a question, you're not speaking on behalf of yourself. You have spoke for the whole entire board. And the worst thing to do is have the media go out there and put something out, and then you're responsible for answering for it, because they're gonna come back to you and say, well, you're the one who told us, we talked to you, and you gave us this comment.
So what Commissioner Venable is saying, I'm going to share a deeper, is whenever, because you will be approached by the media on some capacity, whether it's through email or in the street or something like that. Typically, it's through email, and the media will ask you about a certain thing, and then you can forward that email to Deborah and Elena, and either choose to not respond, right, and just forward the email to Deborah and Elena, make sure that you CC both of them, and let them handle it. One of the... Are you saying Brenda? Deborah. Okay, Deborah. Thank you, Deborah. Deborah's like, did you not thank me? Thank you, Deborah, for supporting the HRCA in all of our capacities. So that's a very important thing. Thank you very much. That's a very important thing to remember. Please note that I will be available if you have any questions about procedure, about policy, about questions about how the commission works. Please feel free to call me. I'm absolutely available to answer any of those questions. We're thinking about doing this. How do you write a recommendation? We have a set recommendation that we wrote as a commission that we use as a template that will come along with that position. So it's pretty much plug and play. Kim, would you like to add? But there's a lot of
I just wanted
responsibility.
to say thank you for sharing your experience and your experience as the vice chair. But I wanted to reiterate that you're not alone. Your service is invaluable to the city of Asheville. Your mission is critical. And so in addition to staff, I'm happy to help as liaison. I hear extension of support beyond your service here, which is very generous. And we can always do better. So I don't want people to feel scared to participate. The role is very important for this group to be able to work. So thank you for taking the time to share your experience.
Thank you for bringing that up. So we do have 4 votes on Commissioner Harold as vice chair.
Madam Chair, you will need to you took a vote. I think you did it incorrectly, so we might need to do it again.
All right, we can redo the vote, that's fine. Is everybody okay with redoing the vote? All right.
Don't forget to call for any nays.
All right, so voting on vice chair, Commissioner Harrell. For vice chair.
All those for.
All in favor for vice chair. Right,
You must vote for one of the 3.
right.
Because at this point, we don't know who to account for.
Can I respectfully decline?
You can decline the nomination. There are 2 remaining votes.
Okay, so all in favor of Commissioner Atkins for vice chair? We got 1 vote. All in favor of Commissioner Young for vice chair?
Madam Chair, did you take nays?
Oh, nays. Nays for Commissioner Atkins for vice chair.
Oh, names?
Nays for Commissioner Atkins for vice chair.
No nays.
Okay. All in favor of Commissioner Young for vice chair? Any nays? All right, Commissioner Young, congratulations, you are vice chair of the Human Relations Commission. All right, so now we vote for chair. Okay, so do we have a nomination for chair?
I nominate Ms. Atkins for chair.
All right. Would you like to vote?
Commissioner Atkins, do you accept or decline your nomination?
All in favor of Commissioner Atkins for chair? So moved. Commissioner Atkins, and now Madam Chair.
I'll do the best that I can. I firmly believe in equity for all men and women. I'm very much community-minded, and I believe that everyone in the community has a voice. And if this commission is to do what they need to do for human relations, then we will hear those voices and speak out for those that can't speak for themselves.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
All right, moving on to committee updates, key actions from retreat, intergovernment relations. Seems as intergovernment relations and community engagement have merged, but let's hear from intergovernment relations.
Nobody's here.
Nothing, oh,
Madam Chair,
nothing to report?
I just want to note that your meeting ends at 7:30. It's 7:31 now, so just quick updates.
Yep, nothing to report. Community engagement,
Nothing to report at this time.
nothing to report. Oh,
I would like to speak on that, and as far as your name being on here 1, 2, 3 times, for different subcommittees. Are you still going to, like, at our last meeting, you said you would still be able to come to the meetings, and what did you say that you would be, how did you say that?
Who are you referring to, Commissioner Harper?
with the
Tammy.
committees,
She's not,
Dolores,
yes.
we are offered the opportunity to still sit on the
Participate.
committees
Yeah.
in the capacity of community members.
Yeah, that's what she was.
So if you still want to maintain involvement in
Mhm.
these,
Yeah.
in the committees,
That's the only thing I was going to
you're
ask her.
more than welcome to.
That's a great initiative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heard.
So we can still look forward to Tanya being on the
Right.
subcommittees. Thank you.
Thank you. I will take my name off of the addressing housing issues, but keep it on those two commissions. Addressing housing issues, Commissioner,
The only updates that we have are not being able to get, I guess, the accuracy in the numbers for the waiting list when we talk about Asheville Housing Authority in a whole. And I think that was something that we wanted to get clarity on so that we could address the homelessness and housing issues, because we have some numbers from 2018 until 2022 that I'm sure have changed, but those are just numbers to give us an estimate, of course. We're addressing housing and homelessness on many different levels, so those numbers will fluctuate. But we will stay persistent in trying to get accuracy on those numbers.
thank you.
Have y'all ever went to housing and urban development trying to pull down what their numbers are for our housing authority? Y'all did? Okay. Y'all were able to get any type of information?
So, again, the accuracy of those numbers are estimated. And the number in which I received, you have to think about multifamily and single family. So a multifamily can consist of a mother and 3 children with the children's father. And they may be completely homeless, living on someone's couch using an address. So we talked about that not being their specific address, so they are still to be considered homeless. So as far as getting accurate numbers, it's a challenge, I must say that. Even when we were dealing with the census, it's hard to get accuracy for that type of number, especially when dealing with a homeless population across the United States, let alone in our city.
Thank you, Commissioner. I believe it's called the invisible homeless population.
Very much so, very much so.
I don't know if anybody can answer this. So is there a new, housing director right now?
There's a new CEO that just took her seat, and her contract went into place, to my knowledge, at the beginning of this week.
School superintendent,
Cruz.
yeah, we got him this week, so we all got a new shift of new people in different spaces.
Her name is Monique Pierre. Her last, she came from Arkansas, I believe is her last area.
So we got another guy too. That just took the position. We seen him on Indeed. I guess it might be good for us to know all these new people.
That's what I was getting at. I was
Can
gonna
work
ask how
with
many
them and
people
see what kind of, how we can be useful to them. And like on top of this situation with the housing, we got a new, CWA, Community Health Workers, which is myself, Michael Hayes, YTL, my daddy taught me that, Young Struggle, and Spark, and, Philip Cooper as well, so we had 17 that's taking the training now, we got 20 people just graduated last week, so you're looking at 37 community health workers that's available for our community. So we ain't gotta be doing everything just inside this room. We got people on the ground, myself, got Crystal, we got Dolores, she can't just give up the job.
I was just about to reiterate something like, I didn't mean to say I would want, don't get me wrong.
I know,
Let me think about it, because it's been a lot. You think about 7 years of your personal time being, so I don't want to just have, and it can be kind of traumatic, like I said today. Today was a little bit traumatizing for me. When I feel in my feelings, I'm just going to be what it is. It make me feel, I just second think things sometimes. So is there any way that I could probably get back to either Brenda or about what my further service and community liaisonship will be with this board? I'm not ready to make that decision right now tonight. I'm not.
Feel free to send me an email
Thank you.
whenever you want to continue that
Because I
conversation.
don't want to spot about things that I haven't had a chance to think about. But I do appreciate, that's why I was saying, like, sound is good, but right now, I'm just not in that space. But I will get back at you, and thank you very much for the board having that ability to reach that, and I'll get back at you. Thank you very much. Thank you, David.
Examining systems.
I think everybody here is doing examining systems, myself and Mr. Harvey, we have talked a little bit about a lot of the systems, myself talking about the school system, which is number one, I think, for me, and the equity part, teaching our community how to deal with money and the importance of money. So I think we're working on it, but I think it needs to be some more fine tuning for us to really be intentional for what we want. I don't know how long we got moving forward, but I think that's something we need to be doing for these communities, teaching them about the escrow account, keeping that accountable to housing, where they don't say the money is expired, the money is missing. So it's kind of hard to miss some money after 6 years you've been in housing and your funds are no longer there. So that's one of the systems we need to figure out, how to make these systems better for our community. And unless Mr. Harvey got anything else about that, Ms. Dolores, you were on it as well.
I mean, from Tuesday,
As far as examining the system is what you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
I was gonna ask you to talk to me after the meeting's over with. And it's on there like I need 30 seconds of your time.
I was gonna say some of the tools that y'all might want to use to be able to get some data is the Urban Economic Fund, and what they do is they go to and they look at every city in the U.S. that has more than, I want to say, 20% black population. They look at, median household incomes. They look at, so they use all kinds of data, so everything from census to HUD to you name it. And what you will kind of see when you look at those numbers, and then you compare them to the numbers that you have within our own city, because our city has a disparity logic as well. They have disparity stuff. So you can go back through and you can look at the numbers between that and the numbers between the city, and that also lets you know how much more impactful the disparity is here compared to other minorities, races, and socioeconomic classes, not just in North Carolina, but in other parts of the country that necessarily don't have the same amount of black population that we have here, like more rural places that you might think of like Iowa. And so, when you're looking at, sometimes data is the best thing you can chase, because numbers are they're not gonna lie, they can't change themselves unless somebody, you can't erase a number that the federal government has and then try to bring it back home and say, well, that's not right. Yes, it is, because this is how cities get funding. So always chase the money and chase the funding of things. Always ask, who's funding this? Where does that funding capital come from? Who makes the decision on this funding? Where, at the end of the day, what's the end game for this funding? How long has this funding been given to these certain entities? You have to see where, because sometimes disparities start and they don't even recognize it, but it is very systemic. And that's the thing about disparities. And so I would encourage y'all to look at stuff like that, because when you start seeing things like that, it can kind of bring it home a little bit better for you, to where it makes it more impactful here, because it's like, this place right here isn't like that. How did we get here? And we have more people per capita that looks like this, or have this situation, or in this struggle. So that's a great tool to use.
Commissioner Venable, I might follow up with you later and get a little more information, so provide it to the HRCA members after our meeting. Thank you.
Improving HRCA.
I know we haven't worked on the youth HR council. We have, I wasn't a part of it.
I would like to, if I could participate in that, moving forward, that would be great.
Commissioner Reed, you want me to add you to the Improving HRCA subcommittee, is that
If
correct?
that is not a problem with the other committee members, I would like to be added to that group, please.
So, let me ask you a question about this. And you two, Lloyd, if we're gonna add the youth to these boards, would it be good to start bringing the youth in here now, to have them sit taking notes, to know what they're getting into?
Maybe
So,
that's something
like
that.
training them up to take, let them sit on the board. Can they sit on the board at 16 and ask questions or whatever? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Commissioner Young, maybe that's something that you can bring up in the next meeting. We gotta wrap.
Well, let's wrap.
We gotta wrap. Moving on to community announcements. I love what you're saying, and I believe in it, and I honor it. We gotta move on to community announcements.
Commissioner Rodriguez, one question before we move from committee updates. I was talking to Elena earlier, and you relayed to me that Donald had communicated with you today about being here, and he was supposed to be here, and he didn't come.
He let me know that he was anticipating being late.
Okay. So we're just about over. would you please get in touch with him again and find out, what his intentions are?
I can certainly follow up with him and see if he can still make the next meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to community announcements.
I just wanted to share that the Southside Community Garden has its BIPOC Farmers Market. The next two will be Sunday, June 4th from 12 to 3 p.m. And then the next one after that is Sunday, July 2nd from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. Please come out and support BIPOC entrepreneurs and businesses in Asheville. Thank you.
I'd like to say that the Shiloh community will be having their storytelling today, and we're honoring seniors 88 to 108. And they will give their stories about their lives in Asheville and especially Shiloh. So you're all invited to come.
Would they?
That'll be Saturday from 1 to 4. And that's gonna be in the, at the Linwood Crump Community Center. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I didn't say that the BIPOC Farmers Market is at the Edison Center, in the back parking lot, right above the community garden.
One last place that is of interest for community announcements. The grind will be going on next weekend. There are a lot of interesting things to do down there, and you can dance, food, there are a lot of human interest things as far as getting in with businesses as well. And when you get tired, well, when you get the feel of all of that, Brenda will be there and she will teach you how to dance. Oh, she will, she will. That's Brenda's thing, she'll be there to teach you how to dance, how to line dance and everything like that. And there'll be plenty of fun, food and everything next weekend.
There are no further community announcements. Thank you all for this honor in serving with this commission. Congratulations, Commissioner Atkins.
Remove your sleeve, Commissioner. Your time, we just look at that, we all, everybody comes on.
Are we adjourned?
Congratulations. We are